that's what I think about Insomniac being acquired by Sony. Anyway, guys, how are you? Welcome back. I'm going to give my thoughts because this is big news. It may be not pleasant news for everyone, but it's big news. But I want to give my perspective and my thoughts about why Insomniac was purchased or acquired, quote unquote, by Sony, as we found out today during Gamescom. Now, it comes as no surprise. It makes a lot of sense that if Insomniac hasn't had really big hitters, okay, and don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on Insomniac. I like Insomniac and I like their games. I like a lot of their games. I was one of the few people who liked Resistance and enjoyed it. On the PS3 era, I really liked Fused. I liked Song of the Deep. I loved Sunset Overdrive. And I love Ratchet & Clank. It's quite honestly, next to God of War, one of my favorite PlayStation intellectual properties, right? IPs, which now is officially their property because it was owned by Insomniac and now they own Insomniac. But it comes as no surprise because Insomniac really hasn't had a big hit. You know, and I welcome you guys back, you know, with me, obviously, Iba, because this is something that, you know, is good to talk about. But at the same time, I want to put perspectives of other things that people try to make negative thoughts about when it comes to Microsoft, right? Because Insomniac has been working with PlayStation pretty much since the beginning. I guess you could say PlayStation 2 era, maybe even PlayStation 1. So they have a really good relationship and established a very good relationship. And also the fact that they finally got a big hit with the Marvel Spider-Man because Sony was the one who, obviously, they were the ones who suggested them to Marvel Games to develop and make Spider-Man PS4. They were the ones when Marvel came to Sony because that's what happened. Now, there's still things I want to point out, though. This is good in the sense that this could shut down a lot of the naysayers and back and forth BS, really. When people were saying, oh, that Microsoft really doesn't care about Sunset Overdrive and they don't want to make a sequel. And then you had Ted Price and some people at Insomniac saying things like, we'll make Sunset Overdrive, or just waiting on Microsoft. But yet, as soon as Sunset Overdrive released, the ramblings of the deal of Spider-Man PS4 started to come to fruition. That there was a big, well-known studio that worked with Sony before, which a lot of people thought at first was Sony Bend or other companies like that. And even Santa Monica at one point was even said that we're going to develop a brand new exclusive Spider-Man game for PlayStation. Because obviously they wanted to get the rights for Spider-Man to be in the MCU because they hold the movie rights. Sony does. And Marvel didn't have it. But Marvel does own the game rights to Marvel Game Studios. And they own the merchandising rights, which Sony sold to them a few years back. So I kind of feel like Insomniac probably felt that it was a security blanket because they finally got their big hit. They're finally a well-known, household name, not only with the hardcore, but also the casuals. But with that also being said, at the same time, is very hypocritical because I remember not too long ago, even in an interview with, I think it was IGN, with when they were talking about the release of Sunset coming to PC, with, I believe it was Brian McCaffrey, Ted Price said, we like being independent. This is the way we prefer it, and we enjoy it because of our creative freedom. So all that time, they're talking about how they didn't want to do Sunset because of Microsoft. It's up to them, this and that. And then they talked about they want to be independent, but yet all of a sudden, they let Sony buy them. And I know the numbers of Sony that they offered them probably was really hefty or really good for them to be acquired. But I'm pretty sure that the proposition and the offer that Sony gave them would not be nowhere near compared if Microsoft made them an offer, which I'm pretty sure at one point Microsoft did make them an offer to buy them. I'm pretty sure of it. And they said no, right? So, because at that point, they still hadn't had a hit. So it makes sense. But now, when they got the hit with Spider-Man, now they want to kind of walk around gloating like they, because they're the big deal, which you would think they would stay independent even quicker. Because now they don't have to really respond to anybody. They would make more money fully for themselves. Now, the other thing I want to point out to this is that people, you got to remember that the whole rambling and rumor was that if Spider-Man the Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 3, the last one, after that just came out from the MCU, that if it made over $1 billion, that Sony would lose the rights to the Spider-Man property, right? As far as the movies as well. So it would make sense for Sony to make this power move as well, because that would also influence Marvel to having to probably forcefully make the sequel to Spider-Man exclusive again. Because they're going to want to use Insomniac, since they had a success with Insomniac with the Spider-Man game. Okay? And money talks. So now, by doing this, if they want to use Insomniac again, they have no choice but to make it exclusive to PlayStation, because Insomniac is owned by Sony. Okay? They're not going to do a multi-plat deal, because Sony is not Microsoft. They don't care about the culture or the industry. They care about their perspective and how they look. Okay? They've always been that way. They're professional mudslingers. So, my point is, if that's the case, then now Marvel would have to try to figure out whether, okay, does it pay off just to stay exclusive on the one console? Or would it pay off just to go to another developer and make the sequel, make it multi-plat so everybody can play it? Because Spider-Man is Marvel's IP. Okay? It's not Sony's. They own the movie rights. That's it. That was part of the deal they did with Marvel before Marvel went bankrupt, before they got purchased and acquired by Disney. So, all those things aligned make sense why Insomniac went with Sony. And congratulations to them. That's a good thing. If they feel that they're going to have financial stability, which I don't see how they can find financial stability more with a company like Sony than they can with Microsoft, because the money's just not there. It's not the same thing. But don't get it twisted. Sony didn't buy Insomniac to help them survive and stay in the industry, because Insomniac is now set in their place. They have success. They're okay now. Plus, they have over 200 employees. Unlike Microsoft, that they acquired people like Ninja Theory, Obsidian, even Double Fine, because they were in trouble. Their games weren't selling well. They were about to close down in certain circumstances and situations. Instead, they reached out and told them, we'll help you get the financial backing, the financial people that you need, the backing of people with more hands and the right place to work in better environment, and you can have your creative freedom. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference between the acquisitions between Ninja Theory, Obsidian, and Double Fine, as compared to this acquisition now with Sony, with Insomniac. Insomniac didn't need Sony. Okay? This is just basically Insomniac saying, we owe you for helping us out by suggesting us to Marvel to make Spider-Man, where we found our success. Finally, after Resistance, Ratchet & Clank, Fuse, Song of the Deep, and Spider-Man, right? So kudos to them, congratulations. But now I'm going to talk about the other part of the argument, okay? The first part was, this explains why Insomniac wasn't so adamant to really do Sunset Overdrive 2, and it knocks away all the speculation that it was Microsoft that didn't want to do a sequel because it didn't sell well, whatever the case may be, okay? Which we really don't know that, because Insomniac said it was successful when it first launched for them. And Microsoft owns the IP, the publishing rights for Sunset. Not the IP, but the publishing rights. So they can't just make a Sunset 2 for PlayStation without Microsoft selling back the publishing rights like they did with Alan Wake with Remedy. So two things here. One, okay, so if you want to get back the rights to Sunset Overdrive, let's do fair play. Then Sony since they're not doing anything with the IP anyway, and they're not going to do it regardless because they don't care about it, sell back the rights to Heavenly Sword to Microsoft so Ninja Theory could acquire back their IP, right? And you could give the Sunset Overdrive IP to Insomniac, and they can make it on PlayStation. That'd be fair play. It's a win-win for both sides. You see? This is how the mentality of a real fan of a console or of a system or of a brand should look at things and think about things. Not just with negativity, hate, or dumb rhetoric, saying, oh, Microsoft is dumb, look at this, and that, and this. Just like with the Ori situation. The Ori is, they don't own Moon Studios. They do own the rights to the IP, Ori, but Ori is a type of game that since it's smaller, it makes more sense to be on a portable. That way the game can make more revenue, they make more money, and also Moon Studios gets better establishment, which in long term, Moon Studios could agree to either get bought by Microsoft or at the same time, when they do this relationship, Nintendo could actually allow third-party games that they don't own, that they did deals with in the past on the Wii and Wii U, come to Xbox, like Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, like Mad World, like Wonderful 101, or like, the ones that were on the Wii, Devil's Third and Bayonetta 2 and possibly even Bayonetta 3, or even Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 that just dropped, because the first two were multi-plat. Heck, that should even come to PlayStation 4 because it was on PS4 too, to be honest. Okay? Especially with something like Bayonetta and Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Now, you may agree or may not agree, but that's just principle. Especially if Microsoft being so friendly with Nintendo, giving them these deals where they can make money off their properties as well, and they have success in their platform, or their console rather. I mean, Phil Spencer did say gaming is for everyone. So it should work for both sides of the fence. So the last point I want to bring up is the point of remedy. All these people making all this dumb nonsense and rhetoric comments on Twitter and other places in social media, including Facebook, Instagram, and things of that nature, saying, oh, Remedy shouldn't be bought by Microsoft because Xbox gamers don't support their games, that they suck, that they don't... Listen, the only game that Remedy found success with, really, in the PlayStation platform was Ratchet. That's why they made like 12 Ratchet and Clank games. Resistance was somewhat successful for them, which was the first one, and the second one did all right, and the third one flopped. And that's when they decided to go multi-plat, that they did Fuse, and then they did Song of the Deep, and then they did the deal with Sunset Overdrive, which originally they said Sony didn't want, because they just wanted photorealistic games and not stylistic style games with cartoon graphics or 3D polygon style graphics that cater more to a younger style audience or to a certain type of audience. They just wanted photoreal. That's why most of their games, you look at it, are photoreal. They don't have no real games that are stylized. Even Concrete Genie, that's supposed to be more family oriented, has a more photorealistic style or like cryptic gothic style to it, with the colors of the artwork. So all those people, what I say is fair play is Remedy has been not only supported, but they've been backed by Microsoft the entire time. Microsoft funded their marketing, their developing, and their publishing for every game they've done since Max Payne, after they sold it to Rockstar. And Rockstar had no success with Max Payne 3. So it's very highly unlikely they won't go back to it. Okay? But they did give them the support and help and backing with Alan Wake. Alan Wake would not exist if it wasn't for Microsoft, for their help and their push. Same thing like Quantum Break. And they own the Quantum Break IP. The Alan Wake, they only had the publishing rights. And they gave it back to them. So, to be honest, Microsoft should try to conjure up a deal and acquire Remedy. Because Remedy is sonified with Microsoft. They're part of the Microsoft family. And their games are distinguished and identified with the Microsoft Xbox brand. So there's no reason for no one to cry about this idea of Remedy getting bought by Microsoft anymore. Because if Insomniac did it, because they've been working with Sony since the beginning, same thing pretty much with Microsoft, with Remedy, since when they worked on the Windows with Max Payne on the PC and then transitions to OG, and they also made it on the PS2. It should be the same thought process. Remedy is synonified and identified with Microsoft. So they should be part of the Xbox Game Studio family. And no one should have one word or comment or opinion about it because it makes sense and it's only right. Just like it makes sense that Insomniac would choose to stay and get acquired by Sony. Again, it's just common sense. And they should definitely make these deals for these IPs like the one I said with the Heavenly Sword, going back to Ninja Theory, and you can give Insomniac back the deal or the IP of Sunset Overdrive. I mean, most Xbox dudes, I remember when I asked them about Sunset Overdrive, they say, I don't really like it. I didn't like the style of the game, or I didn't really like the game. And then there was many that told me they did. Myself included. Okay? I love Sunset. I think it's fantastic. But at least we could still play it on Xbox and in their future consoles because it'll be backwards compatible. It's not like it'll go away. It's not like the PlayStation 3 scenario that in order to play Heavenly Sword, you have to have a PS3, which is not compatible with the Xbox. I mean, with the PS4 and probably maybe not the PS5. At least we don't know yet. I mean, that's what it looks like, or it's looking like. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts and those three reasons and topics and why I think and what should be done from this point. I think that Phil Spencer should see that Sony makes power moves for their advantage, not caring about anyone else or the developers themselves. It's just for bragging rights. So Phil is about the community and gaming, fine, but you can still do that while making a power move that gives you also not only bragging rights, but a good perception with the fan base of Xbox. Because Remedy is a company that a lot of Xbox fans would love to see be owned as a studio by Microsoft because they make great quality games. Just like Ninja Theory. They gave Ninja Theory their chance. They started on Xbox with Kung Fu Chaos, and they said it in their featurette that Microsoft gave them their shot. And that is why they felt comfortable, especially that they gave them still the creative freedom by being acquired. Okay? And Ninja Theory's games are a lot better and were a lot better received, at least critically acclaimed, than any game by Insomniac. Until now with the, fake fanboys following the Spider-Man Marvel hype. Okay? So anyway, and they should also try to acquire somebody like Crytek. Same thing. Because Crytek has been very close with Microsoft for a long time as well. So that we can get a future rise. Because it has the potential to be a game like God of War for us. The same thing like Ninja Blade was from Front Software and Sega. But I don't know if that'll ever happen. So yeah, guys, that's what I thought. That's my process. You see, I have my Skeletor shirt on and my Skeletor hat on. Very excited, very hyped. Big shout outs out there to Mattel, TV Studios, and Kevin Smith, and Netflix for taking a risk and doing an upcoming Masters of the Universe animated, which means it might be in an anime style because the same people did the Castlevania animation, He-Man TV series or mini series, which I can't wait. This is fantastic. You have not only fantastic quality writer or person that cares about properties and authenticity like Kevin Smith, but now we have the freedom or creative freedom without no hurdles of worrying if certain things can be done or certain things cannot be done. Like, for example, maybe some violence and some cursing on top of having the good nurtured will messaging of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe because it's on Netflix. So I'm very hyped, very ecstatic. So big shout outs to that. Guys, thank you for tuning in and checking out the video. And I hope you like what I had to say. Hope you understood what I had to say and where I'm coming from. And honestly, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear from you. Nothing trolling, just good, honest, wholesome conversation and thought process about the whole idea of Remedy being bought by Microsoft, or the IPs being, given back to each other, to the rightful owners, or even the idea of Insomniac now being owned by Sony. So love you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't. Share with someone you think might enjoy the video. And like I've always told you, if you guys love what I do, I love how I put my content out, and just want to see my channel grow in any way, shape, or form. And if you want to help me out in the kindness of your heart, you know what to do. It's down in the description. I don't have to tell you. It's only if you want to. It's not mandatory. And if you don't, I still love you. I still love the support. Doesn't make me any difference. Okay, guys? See you soon. Rock on. Stay happy and game on. See you guys soon, all right? Bye-bye. Peace.